Over the weekend, a crucial agreement to raise the country's debt ceiling was announced, and Congress now has 1 week to pass the legislation in both chambers before the deadline at which default would start. The so-called X-date, when the United States will no longer have enough money to pay all of its bills in full and on time, could occur as early as June 5, according to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. Despite the progress toward an agreement between House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and President Joe Biden, there are still legislative obstacles to overcome before the 99-page debt and spending bill can be delivered to Biden's desk by next Monday. The bill will likely need the support of both Democratic and Republican moderates due to the close margins in the House and Senate. After weeks of back and forth, Biden and McCarthy declared on Saturday that they had reached an agreement in principle on a 2-year government budget in exchange for raising the debt ceiling until January 2025. On Sunday night, the Fiscal Responsibility Act, the new law, was made available to the general public. McCarthy had given his members 72 hours to review the proposed legislation before it was put to a vote in the House, and that started the clock ticking on that deadline. Speaking to reporters in front of his office, the Speaker praised what he called efforts to increase public access to transparency and process in Congress. "I'm trying to change the House where it works again," he declared. May 30. Return of lawmakers and meeting of the Rules Committee. The members are expected to return from their Memorial Day break on Tuesday. At 3 p.m. Eastern Time, the 9 Republican and 4 Democratic members of the House Rules Committee will convene to determine the guidelines for consideration of the debt ceiling bill. Reps. Ralph Norman of South Carolina and Chip Roy of Texas, both members of the hardline House Freedom Caucus, are 2 of the 9 Republicans who have publicly criticized the agreement. Although McCarthy singled him out for praise on Sunday for successfully proposing a fallback measure for spending cuts in the agreement with the White House, Republican Representative Thomas Massie of Kentucky, a fiscal hawk, has also been speculated as a potential holdout. To send the bill to the full House, a Democrat would have to join the 2 remaining Republicans if all 3 committee members opposed it. McCarthy said he wasn't concerned about the committee meeting as he arrived at the Capitol on Monday. On Wednesday night, the bill is anticipated to be introduced in the House. If all members are present, 218 votes are required to pass the legislation. Considering that Republicans currently control the House 222-213, some Democrats might be required if more than 4 conservatives defect. However, lawmakers from both parties' wings have voiced their displeasure with some of the deal's specifics. The House Freedom Caucus sought more significant spending cuts, and some of its members have stated they will work to prevent it from passing the House. The chair of the Progressive Caucus and a Democrat, Representative Pramila Jayapal of Washington, said on Sunday that congressional leaders should worry about getting enough support from the group given concerns with the Republican compromise. According to ABC News, the White House and the Republican leadership have been holding conferences and briefings to promote the agreement. McCarthy predicted that the majority of Republicans will back it to ABC's Trish Turner on Sunday. Hakeem Jeffries, the leader of the House Democrats, stated on CBS'"Face the Nation" that he anticipates Democratic support once we have the ability to actually be fully briefed by the White House, but he would not provide an estimate of the number of votes. "I do hope and expect to see a significant number of House Republicans voting for this agreement," he added. "They are, as far as I can tell, committed to producing at least 150 votes." According to Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, the Senate would start processing the debt ceiling bill as soon as the House approves it on Wednesday night. The chamber could vote immediately with unanimous consent, skipping debate, but it would only take 1 lawmaker to bog down the process. Senator Mike Lee, R. Utah, previously declared that he would use every procedural option at his disposal to delay a bill if it did not contain substantial spending and budgetary reforms. In a Dear Colleague letter published on Sunday, Schumer made a suggestion that there might be snags. "Senators should get ready for possible votes on Friday and the weekend," he wrote. If a filibuster occurs, it could push back final passage by up to a week, past the anticipated June 5 default deadline. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell gave the agreement a major endorsement on Sunday, urging his colleagues to act swiftly and pass this agreement without unnecessary delay. McConnell declared in a statement, "The United States of America will not default on its debt. Today's agreement makes urgent progress toward maintaining our country's full faith and credit and a crucial step toward putting its finances in order. Congress must act quickly if legislation is to be passed by next Monday." It gave lawmakers a little more time to pass a deal when the Treasury Department revealed last week that its new X-date estimate was June 5. The United States may not have enough money to cover all of its debts as early as June 1, Secretary Yellen had previously warned. In a letter to McCarthy on Friday, Yellen stated, "Based on the most recent data, we now estimate the Treasury will have insufficient resources to satisfy the government's obligations if Congress has not raised or suspended the debt limit by June 5." When he arrived back in Washington on Sunday, Biden expressed his confidence that the bill would reach his desk. He stated that the only way forward was a bipartisan agreement, and the Speaker and I made that clear from the start. The United States House and Senate will now review that agreement. I also implore both chambers to approve that agreement.